The question is, why did I start to tweet? And there are basically three reasons. Probably more than three, but for a number of years I have believed in the power of three. And the power of three basically says that if you want people to remember what you are saying, don't go beyond three. So, three reasons. The first is that I realized that something important was happening in the world. And this important thing would in the end help to shape the world. And I realized that I didn't know much about this important thing that was happening. I first became aware of new media, as it was called then, and social media, as it is known now, after the last Malaysian general elections of 2008. After the elections, where the Barisan Nasional, the ruling coalition in Malaysian politics, met with an electoral setback when they lost their two-thirds majority. They still won, but by a much smaller margin. The then Prime Minister of Malaysia, Abdullah Badawi, gave an interview which was published in the Straits Times, where he explained the loss in terms of the rise of the new media. Now, I couldn't remember exactly what words he used, but it goes something like this. He said, we were so focused on the mainstream media, newspapers, print media, television, all controlled basically by government, that we forgot that the young people were exchanging views and getting their information from new media, from the blogs, from Twitter, from YouTube, and the like. And I thought to myself, here is something that I must know something about. Now, I remember about the time the story came up, I had a conversation with my former boss, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed, who was then the minister in charge of the BEDB, to persuade him, because at the time I was the acting chairman, to launch this small place, which some of you come from, called the Eye Center. And I said to him, sir, it would be nice if you could launch the Eye Center. And I remember he asked me, is it a large building? And I said, it is not a large building. In fact, it is an old, small building, renovated. But you are not launching a building. You are launching a place where new ideas will be created. It is not a building you are launching. You are launching something much more important than a building. And as some of you remember, he did launch the Eye Center. And as a few of you may remember, he did say in the launch that any successful society needs to produce ideas, needs to allow these ideas to flourish. Not everyone in the Eye Center will be successful. Not every entrepreneur in the world will be successful. But if we don't try, we will never know. And those who succeed, as we have seen in the United States, in Singapore and elsewhere, those who succeed will shape the world. So, that is my first reason. I recognize something is important happening in the world that will change business, politics, and the way we live our lives. And I wanted to understand a bit more about it. My second reason is that I wanted to get to know what younger Bruneians are talking about, are concerned about, are thinking about. Although this is a small country, we tend to be in our different silos. I have always acknowledged that the future of this country lies with the young. For the simple reason that it is the young who will live in that future, and they will shape that future. But in my everyday life, on the boards that I sit on, in the meetings that I go to, I don't interact very much with these young people that will shape the future. The average age, the median age in Brunei is around 26 years old. How many 26-year-olds do I run into in the boards and the meetings that I go to? And so I decided that one way is to join this conversation that we call Twitter. And I must say that in the under 3 months that I have been tweeting, that I have found it an enjoyable and educational experience. That's my second reason, that I wanted to interact, to join a conversation with much younger people. Now let me come to my last reason. My last reason is that I wanted to do something that I am uncomfortable with. Although I speak about the power of social media, I am actually, by habit and by nature, a very old-fashioned person. Although I bought a Kindle 3 months ago and love reading, I have yet to activate it, and I still read all my books in printed form. I still suffer whenever I travel because I am a voracious reader, and I carry with me sometimes 10 books in printed form, which is extremely heavy. What I should do is switch to Kindle, but I haven't done so yet. I am, by habit, uncomfortable with technology. I'm probably the last person, or one of the last adults in Brunei to start SMSing. And I still remember the moment I did it, because I was giving a speech about how important technology was. And my good friend Pihin Mohammed, who was the former Minister of Energy and the second chairman of the BEDB, came up to me after that and said, "Yeah, you just gave that speech, but you don't even SMS." And I said, "Pihin, can you show me how to do it?" And Pihin is very, very good with technology. Taught me that afternoon how to do SMS. So this is something I was uncomfortable with. And as Derek Sivers said yesterday, for personal development, it is sometimes good to do things that you are scared of. I wouldn't say that I'm scared of technology, but I'm certainly uncomfortable with it. And I decided that for me to develop, I must, from time to time, do something that I'm uncomfortable with. And that's why I started to tweet. With the help of my good friend Hadi, I opened my tweet account on the 18th of July of this year. It took me 2 weeks after that to start to tweet. I agonized over my first tweet. Is my life going to change? What is the perfect way of expressing my thoughts in 140 characters? And with the help of my colleague Fatin, I learned some of the rules of tweeting. And that is why I started to tweet. I'm still agonizing over whether I should start my own blog. And I'm still agonizing as to when I should do my first bungee jump. But I am committed to the idea that from time to time, I should start something I'm uncomfortable with, because that is how one progresses as a person. So in summary, those are my 3 reasons. I recognize something very important happening in the world. I wanted to interact with younger Bruneians that I don't interact with in my everyday life. And I wanted to do something that I am uncomfortable with. Thank you.